And we are continuing our breaking news coverage of the death of Saudi King Abdullah. State TV announced his passing a short time ago. The king was 90 years old and had recently been hospitalized for pneumonia.
Had a lot of health issues over recent years. Funeral services will take place in Riyadh about 11 hours or so from now. King Abdullah had been the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia since 1996.
Now, the royal court immediately named his successor, Crown Prince Salman bin Abdulaziz. You see the new king here in footage from last year greeting a U.S. delegation in Jeddah.
Prince Alwaleed Bin Talal, chairman of Kingdom Holdings and a nephew of King Abdullah, joins us now on the phone. Thank you so much for doing so. Can I ask you, first of all, your reaction to the passing of the king?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the death of the late King Abdullah is a big shock for our nation, Saudi Arabia. However, the transition was very swift, whereby King Salman took over, and he nominated Crown Prince Migran to be his nominee for that key position. And I think all the members of our family came around their king and the Crown Prince. And tomorrow we will be praying on late King Abdullah, and within hours after that we will be all giving our allegiance to the new king and the new Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Talk to us a little bit, if you will, about how important it is to have a smooth transition. I understand that this transition has been in the works for the last couple years.
Well, Saudi Arabia, since King Abdulaziz established it in 1932, modern Saudi Arabia was established in 1932. After King Abdulaziz, King Saud came, King Faisal, King Khalid, King Fahd, and then King Abdullah. Obviously, the seeds of the new regime were established by King Abdullah when he nominated Prince Salman to be his crown prince, and thereafter he nominated Prince Migran to be the second in command. And that's exactly what happened today. So it's a very swift and calm transition that already has been done.
What do you think, Prince Alwaleed Bin Talal, what do you think will change in Saudi Arabia under King Salman?
There's no doubt that the elements of stability and continuity will continue. However, King Salman is a very modern person. Prince Salman Migran represent a new era in Saudi Arabia, and I think we have to give Prince Salman, King Salman, Prince Migran some time to establish their leadership, and I believe that you will see some more openness in Saudi Arabia. Although Saudi Arabia is a conservative nature, but there's no doubt that we have to begin incorporating more into the international community and society.
We will see more openness, you say, in Saudi Arabia. Can you be more specific in what kind of reforms you are referring to when you say King Salman is expected to continue King Abdullah's reforms that he began?
Well, no doubt that King Abdullah began the reform in Saudi Arabia. However, clearly, I believe King Salman and Crown Prince Migran will have to expedite the process and will have to accelerate the reform movement on the political front, on the economic front, and social front. I think Saudi Arabia is facing a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges on the political front, economical front, social front. So I think that I deal with the experience of King Salman and Prince Migran. As you said, they can help the seat running because they've been on the side of King Abdullah since a long time. So I think that the swiftness of their ascendance to their positions will prove to be very helpful in expediting the process of the reforms that comes in the near future.
And I think we have
Prince Alwaleed, is John Defterios in Davos at the World Economic Forum. We appreciate you taking the call. As you know, the passing of King Abdullah, and we send our condolences, comes at a very sensitive time in the region. There's a dialogue between the United States and Iran. We're in a post-Arab Spring environment. Will Saudi Arabia push aggressively with additional economic and political reforms, social reforms, in light of the passing of King Abdullah? Or do you think that they need to pull back a little bit to let this transition continue, be more conservative with reforms? I know you're a reformer, and this is a very key question.
Yeah, being conservative has nothing to do by being open and being incorporated in the international community and the world society in the 21st century. I think Saudi Arabia has to nationality. Saudi Arabia has to have some major changes politically, economically, socially, and financially. These are huge tasks that King Salman and Crown Prince will be facing, and I believe that they will be taking these matters head on because they are very much reform-minded. I know that not only that they are the fact they're my uncles, but I am very close to them, and they know the way they think.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince Alwaleed Bin Talal, nephew of King Abdullah, and our condolences to you as you say farewell to your uncle, King Abdullah. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
And apologies for the quality of the line. It wasn't that easy to hear the Prince. John Defterius there in Davos, a man who knows the family. And John, I want you to answer your own question. What do you think could change?
Well, this is a very important period of transition. Michael, as His Royal Highness was suggesting there, this does not come as a surprise. In fact, we've heard rumors off and on for the last 2 years, particularly with the herniated disc and how he was convalescing at home and could he lead in that sort of position. But we had news in the last month of his bout of pneumonia and how serious it was. We were waiting for this announcement of transition. And in fact, it's extraordinary how events unfold, Michael. In the last 12 hours, I spoke to members of the royal family here in the Gulf states, business leaders that are very involved in the Middle East and North Africa, and they thought that the death was imminent. They were saying it was going to happen any day. We didn't expect it in the last 12 hours to transform and this news to break. It is a shock to the world. Now, what His Royal Highness Prince Alwaleed was suggesting here, they do need to modernize society. King Abdullah was doing so. In an economic sense, and this is a very important point, he was building 5 economic cities from scratch, populations of 1 million or more. What was the strategy here? It was to bring in change, allow women to go into the workforce, bring in foreign direct investment, and also foreign workers. Now, this was clashing, of course, with the religious bodies within Saudi Arabia, but this is what Prince Alwaleed was talking about. It is time to reform. Now, Prince Alwaleed Bin Talal, when I did an interview with him back in September in Riyadh, was quite critical of the fact that the transition from an oil-based economy to a industrial-based and services economy has been too slow. 90% of the revenues in Saudi Arabia are still dependent on oil right now. He's one that's been pushing for change, along with a number of others. But no doubt, this period of transition is going to be watched extremely closely. It also comes at a time when there's been extremely highly strained or charged environment within the Gulf Cooperation Council. In fact, in December, Michael and Amra, Qatar was almost pushed out of the GCC. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain and Oman sat down and said, look, let's come back together in a very sensitive period of time here in the Middle East and North Africa. And as I suggested in my analysis earlier, Saudi Arabia has been playing a very important role in Egypt, along with the UAE and Kuwait, providing billions of dollars after the overthrow of Mohamed Morsi to make sure that this transition to President Sisi, who in fact was here in Davos today giving a keynote speech, would be a smooth one. It is a very important time for the region, but the transition to power to King Salman now and Crown Prince Mukran is a very clear one. But how aggressive they'll be with the reforms that this king has pursued in the last 9.5 years is a question mark, and those like Prince Alwaleed and others want to see that the reforms are pushed through, in fact, at a more aggressive pace. Social reforms, human rights, and also economic reforms as well.
John Defterios staying up late for this coverage of our breaking news. Saudi King Abdullah dying at the age of 90. Live for us there in Davos, Switzerland. Thank you so much, John.